New breed, global truth.
His story has to be told to the public. Many of you've heard me say again and again, certainly Mary has, because we've been on the phone endless times with folks that's leading the way in conversations across the country. Public sentiment is everything. With it, you can accomplish almost anything. Without it, practically nothing. But for public sentiment to prevail, people have to know. They have to know. And Tony's story is one that people have to know about an accomplished person working for our veterans, was frivolously and cruelly almost let go from there. So let us all make that part of our mission to show the American people.
What's going on, everybody? It's your brother New Breed coming through with another live stream. I see you brothers and sisters entering the chat. This particular broadcast is going to be absolutely monumental. All right. Now, we're going to be interviewing Tony Ruiz to get that story out that Nancy Pelosi was talking about. Now, in case you all are unfamiliar with, some of these names, I'm going to just briefly edify y'all on that so we can understand the importance of what we're about to discuss today, all right? First and foremost, Tony Ruiz, he's a decorated veteran, worked for the VA, was in the hype and prime of his career there, did a lot of great work, was fired unjustly, and he didn't just leave without having some records on some people, all right? Some important people. And today he's ready to tell everything. And we're going to learn something about his life and what he has to bring to the table far as actual change, all right? Actual change for veterans. And this is going to be a great one. Now, Nancy Pelosi, in case you all are wondering, Nancy Pelosi, she's very prominent in the Democratic Party, served as U.S. Representative for California since 1987, representing San Francisco. I'm talking about major achievements. She guided the Affordable Care Act, the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, and she just played a pivotal role in coordinating 2 impeachments, ladies and gentlemen, 2 impeachments on Donald Trump. Yes. And Brother Tony had her speak on his behalf for a reason. Now, regardless of what your political views are, Nancy Pelosi is very notable, and you have to respect her status and what she has put forth. All right. So I'm not going to be too long-winded about this. I'm ready to bring my guest in so he can speak to y'all without no more further ado. Let's bring in our guest, Mr. Tony Ruiz.
Hey, good morning from Long Beach, California, by the way. So West Coast.
Yes, sir. So Long Beach, California is in the building. And just thank you for coming onto the show, first and foremost. It's an excitement and to interview you. Right off the back, I want to ask you, can you just share a little bit about your upbringing?
Sure.
What was life like growing up and what kind of shaped you to be the person you are today?
Sure. And by the way, to begin, I want to say to you and to your audience, God bless you for taking the time to interview me. It means the world to me. So people like you who have the voice, I thank you enough to give me that platform. Just like CNN give me a platform. I want to thank everybody in your audience as well as yourself. With that being said,
you're welcome.
I was a kid born and raised here in Los Angeles, California, Orange County, to be exact. I'm not giving the cities because of my security. My father came from Mexico at age 31. couldn't speak any English, worked 3 jobs, slept very little to take care of his family, his kids. He went enough to become a manager, bought his own home, and 2 of his sons serve in the military, and I'm one of them.
All right.
And by the way, and the man, tough love. I'll tell you one story. One day he woke me up on a Saturday. I'm not tell you a little, just life, right? Woke me up on a Saturday morning. Get up, 4 in the morning. What's going on? Get up, let's go. Because he used to go to work at 4 in the morning. And on a Saturday, he took me to work with him. And I'm gonna tell you what, brother. One of the worst days of my life, physically. At the end of the day, we had lunch together or dinner together, and he goes, "Mijo, that's Spanish for son. I love you. But do you understand what you saw today?" I said, "Yeah. I don't ever want you to see that experience. I want you to go to school. I want you to get a degree. I want you to live a life. I want you to have dreams because I can't. I'm from Mexico. And he's an American citizen for all you MAGAs out there that want to deport him. But he raised 2 good men. And so that's who I am, somebody that came out of nowhere. And for me, that's why I joined the military, for both stability, GI Bill, but also serve my country, you know. And what's funny is to serve a country that later on spit in my face, which we'll get to later on. Because like Katt Williams today, I'm about to expose some names. And believe me, I know so much that I shouldn't know. Taking his line, I know so much I shouldn't know, but I am going to say it today. And I'm going to say it. Names, I'm going to be like corrupt. I'm in Long Beach. If you're from Long Beach, you know corrupt. I'll be calling out names today. So stand by.
Absolutely. Now I'm going to ask you this: as a Mexican American and lifelong LA resident, what does the city mean to you, and how has that identity played a role in your journey?
Definitely. One of the things about LA that's special is the fact that it's only not only is it beautiful, it's by the ocean, it's picturesque. Most movies, most films that are iconic from LA, like for example, Terminator 2, that scene with the truck and the whole that was LA. There's countless movies that were made in LA. LA is synonymous. Tupac Shakur had a song, "To Live and Die in LA," where he talks about it wouldn't be with LA without Mexicans, Black pride, brown love, you know. And so when you come to Los Angeles, this area is heavily influenced by the Latino community. And so what's funny is when I was in the Army, there was a few guys from LA and we all got along great. And I had a Mexican flag. By the way, if you're MAGA on this channel right now and you're angry because I have a Mexican flag in my dorm, my barracks, tough love. I had an American flag right next to it, buddy. But the point is, a lot of soldiers also had California flags because it means a lot to us. Because to us, California signifies diversity, love, passion, and a land of freedom, man. And so for Los Angeles, when you come here, man, you notice there's a lot of love, but there's also a lot of friction. And I'll get to that later on, unfortunately, between the brothers and the Latinos. And I'm going to discuss that later for you. But LA is very special. Very special.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting because we definitely have to discuss that. Now, what motivated you to join the Army? What was the specific time of influence? I know you mentioned that, you know, your father, you know, telling you to get that degree and really, you know, get educated and pursue a goal. But what was it about the military that made you say, all right, I want to join the Army?
So for me, I wanted to go to a UC. And so for those of you on your channel who aren't familiar with a UC, in the West Coast, we have the UC system, the UC regions. In other words, UCLA, UC San Diego, UC Berkeley. Well, I wanted to go to a UC. That was my dream, one of my dreams. And my father, not in a million years, could ever afford to send me. So one day I broke my mother's heart. I'll never forget this day, by the way. The day that I left the Army. And my mom was crying. She couldn't get out of bed. And my father was crying. And I never saw that man cry before. And he cried that day that I left for the military. But I left the Army because I knew with the GI Bill, I could accomplish that dream without making my father have to work those jobs. And when I first told him the news that I was going, he said, "Tony, I'll get 4 jobs. I won't sleep. Please, I'll pay for your school. So I'll get loans. I'll do something." I said, "No, not going to happen. I need to do this myself, Dad. I love you." And The day I graduated from UC, by the way, I went to a UC. I'm not gonna say which one because of. Actually, wait, it's right there. My title says it. Jesus UCSB. I went to Santa Barbara. The day I graduated, I saw him and he gave me a hug. He goes, "I'm very proud of you," and he was crying, and so I made him proud. And so, to answer your question, it was about knowing that my family could not afford to send me to a UC. Never. It's too expensive. And so the military service allowed me, through the GI Bill, to go to school for practically free. So
Absolutely.
So for me, my dream was accomplished by my military service, which, by the way, took a toll on me mentally, physically, which we'll get to later.
Right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Now I want to ask you this. What was it like being in the military? Like, how was your stint there all the way up until the time you departed? If you care
You
to
know,
elaborate on that for a moment.
definitely. And you know, the military was great. And I'm gonna tell you what, I joined when I was 17. So being a 17-year-old, pardon me, being 17 years old, you're young. You're a young man. So you're still growing as an individual.
Mhm.
And to be stationed in Germany, by the way, I was sent to Germany, and to be able to drink when you're 18 years old. By the way, when you're stateside as a soldier, 19, you can't drink. But I was in Germany, and it was amazing because I drove tanks. By the way, I was a tank driver, tank gunner.
Mhm.
I used to drive tanks on old Nazi tank trails. Picture that. I used to drive, and they told us all the time, guys, we're literally driving on tank trails used by the Nazis during World War II, which to me was eye opening. The military to me was incredible because I met so many people. And you know one of the most heartbreaking things, brother, that I could tell you?
What's that?
And I'm getting a little emotional here in a sense where it hurts me here. The first year after the military, I was broken inside because of the fact that in the military I had real friends. And let me explain to you what that means. I could be at a bar with 3 or 4 guys, and if a girl comes up to me and talks to me, or I talk to a girl, and German guys approach me, want to fight me, within seconds, guess who's behind me? All my brothers. And we would cry together. We would tell stories. We would discuss. We're vulnerable, but we had each other's back. Bro, I have friends now that care for me, but not the same thing, man. And so in the military, and by the way, suicide is a very big thing in the military. I was in the VA, you know this. And one thing with the VA that we do with studies, one of the main factors when we do research, the veterans that kill themselves, they're killing themselves because they have nobody to turn to, because nobody supports them. Because when you were in the military, brother, they tell you everything. Like, hey, chow hall, we know exactly when to eat. Hey,
Mhm.
we're gonna deploy at this time. Be information at this time. We're gonna spend 2 weeks driving tanks on this. We're going to Macedonia for a month. You're like a robot. I mean, they'll tell you where to go. You don't have to necessarily think. You just, and
Right.
you're with your friends. But once you leave that confine of the military, a lot of men lose that compass, man,
Mm.
and the loss of that friendship, the loss of that connection, it messes with a lot of men, and it took me a year. But again, for me, what saved me though, brother, was going again back to my father. Back to my father. My father, he was a wise man, and he told me, "See, mijo, you need to go to school. You need to get that college degree." And so for me, what I was really sad, depressed for about a year, but yeah, going to school got me really back up again, and let's go. And then, as you know, I graduated from UC Santa Barbara with honors. So yeah.
Right, man. That's a blessing. So the military was very favorable for you. Now, your departure from the military, we know that you got an injury. Do you care to elaborate how that took place and um, how that was even just afterwards, the transition back to civilian life?
Let me tell you a couple things how the military operates, and it's a shame, by the way. And by the way, like Katt Williams, I'm about to expose a lot of shit today. Sorry for cousin.
No, no problem. No problem.
So one day there was a tank rollover, and so when you're in Germany, by the way, whenever you're in, by the way, you have to understand one thing: when you're in the military, when you do night maneuvers, there are no lights. You're operating off what's called NVGs, in other words, night vision. The tank is being driven with night vision. You're seeing a green screen, and you're just literally driving a fucking 68-ton tank. Well, We couldn't see there was a big old ditch, and we flipped, and I broke my ankle. My right ear slammed against the side of the tank, which is steel wiring, and I was knocked out for about 10 minutes. I couldn't catch my breath. I was having a panic attack. Uh, I felt scared. I felt like I was gonna die, and all of a sudden they couldn't pull me out of the tank. So I have to wait. I had to wait, and it was 2 in the morning. It was a 2 a.m. maneuver. We had to wait half an hour, and my TC's like, "Hey, Reese, relax, relax, breathe. I can't fucking breathe. I can't breathe." And I started yelling, and that made it worse. And they had to come over and flip the tank over again to recover me. And they said I was in bad shape. But the fact that I was in there claustrophobic, bleeding, by the way, and I also blew up an eardrum too, which now created much more. But I think that was one of the worst times of my life. Um, and then guess what? I went to get checked out. Within 48 hours, I was ordered back to the tank. They made me come back to the tank. What even hurt? Get back there. They didn't care.
Wow.
They didn't care. Go back there. Let's go.
That was the injury that put you out of the military, though, correct?
No. I have no. I guess let's put that correctly. No. I finished my contract. I have an honorable discharge.
Okay.
Later on, when we discuss, if you ask me about VA, like I am gonna discuss VA topics. That, by the way, all you veterans out there, you want to tune into that. I have honorable discharge. I did the whole thing. But what I'm saying is, when you get hurt in the military,
Yep.
and then when you leave the military, and then you claim benefits, that was the injury, the major injury that gave me the linkage. It's called the nexus, by the way, to my current illness, which is PTSD, which is I know I'm not gonna discuss other things that I have to, and also the physical injuries. All that translates to your VA payment and your VA rating. So
Right.
to answer your question, no, that didn't end my career.
Okay.
My career didn't end until I left, but
Okay.
I was
Understood.
hurt the whole time after that.
Right. Now, you spoke a little bit about, other soldiers transitioning to civilian life. How was your personal transition back into civilian life?
Hard. I didn't want to leave the house for weeks.
Hmm.
I didn't want to leave the house for weeks, and family would call me, and I didn't want to talk to nobody. I don't know why. And I think for all soldiers, all veterans out there, I think you're in a coma. I think you're in and that's not, you're not in a coma, but you're like in a mental coma where
Right.
again, you spent 4, 5, 6. I mean, in my case, it was only 4 years, but you spent so many years. But by the way, there's a movie. I don't know if have you seen the movie called The Hurt Locker?
I've heard of it, but I haven't seen it.
There's a scene, right? If you watch The Hurt Locker, anybody, and I guess type the ones where you've seen it, by the way. But the movie, and by the way, it's a movie, but
Yeah,
it's
put the ones in the chat if y'all seen that movie.
um, there's an ending scene that's really emotional that gets to me, and I think a lot of veterans, it hits them really hard, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because that director probably knows he's also a veteran, probably. So the whole movie, he's a badass, right? And they're in Iraq, and this guy's IED blowing up mines, right? And the last scene of the movie is his wife not paying attention to him, ignoring him. He's talking to her, like telling stories, and she's ignoring him. And again, he looks at her like, "Yep, I just lost my brotherhood. Now nobody talks to me. No one listening to me." And next thing you know, he's in a store by himself, looking at a bunch of groceries, lost. And the next scene, he's back in Iraq. What does that tell you, brother? What I'm saying to you is, it's hard for us in a sense where you lose that connection with people that you truly love.
Mm-hmm.
And while you can love your wife and love your family, love your parents, or love your friends here, it's not the same thing as the bond of people that would risk their lives for you. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
If I would have gone to war with them, I would have given my life for each of them.
Right.
Each of them. And that's imperative. And you don't find that here. And that you don't find that in society, man. And so that's why it's so hard to. And so finally, I had psychiatrists talk to me like, "Hey, you have to get out of the house, man. You have to get out of the house, and we need you to start working out." And yeah, that really helped. But yeah, that first year was terrible. And I think a lot of veterans would also agree with me in that sense.
Absolutely. So, how did you end up working at the VA?
Yeah, definitely.
And also, I want to ask you, what did it mean to you to just kind of personally served for veterans. After having such compassion for your fellow soldiers, how did you work there, and what did it mean to you?
Yeah. Well, one thing I gotta tell you is, so you know, in high school when they ask, not high school, but you know, elementary school, when we were all asked, "Hey, so son, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" You know, uh,
Yeah.
everybody says firefighter, policeman, astronaut, all these great things, right? Well, for me, when during the military, when I was in, there was a lot of guys who wanted to be feds. I wanted to be a fed. My dream was to be a fed. Uh, and by the way, everybody in the military knows this. Everybody in your audience has military. Type of one if you agree. By the way, all military before you leave, you have to go through what's called TAP, Transition Assistance Program, and sometimes, and I had a really good one, by the way. It happened. It was great. We had an FBI person there, CIA recruiter. We had a recruiter from the VA. We had a bunch of recruiters talking to us about their jobs, and for me, that was a dream. But again, remember, when I left the military, I was still 21 years old, 22, no degree, so I had to go to school. And they're telling me, "Hey, you're bilingual Spanish. Oh, you better get your degree, son, because you're gonna be an asset one day." Well, for many, many years, I applied for jobs with the VA, FEMA, government, everything. I even got a master's degree in Homeland Security, by the way, and I was still getting
Nice.
denied. And then finally, 2 years ago, after a year and a half, by the way, and this is a shame, by the way, after a year and a half of fighting the VA they denied my claim. I was on a tank rollover, physically destroyed, ears, tinnitus, the whole 9 yards. They denied me, right? And one day, finally, I got a letter saying, "Congratulations, Mr. Ruiz. We're awarding you with 80% disability rating, which also makes you eligible for a speedy process to hire with the VA." And within 5 months, I started working at the VA. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't sleep for a couple of days of the joy, of the fact that I can finally help veterans and I can do my job. And by the way, take that oath, the
Yeah.
federal oath. And by the way, the dream of I've already again the father, my father's dream. My father told me, "I want you to go to school," and I did that for him. And my dream was to work for the government, and it finally happened. And I never forget. I was at the L.A. Los Angeles Federal Building, and by the way, I'm gonna say his name, Emmett O'Mara. If you're there, if you're here, I'm gonna discuss Hugh, fool. I'm about to go off on Emmett O'Mara in a second, Katt Williams style. But Emmett O'Mara was the one that made all of us put up our right hand and take the federal oath, and that's when I was very proud. And to be able to serve my veterans and be part of the homeless outreach team, that was incredible. Where we would get in vans and go up to the veterans and try to get them into those shelters. And to me, that was life changing, man. So uh, it was God. It was God right there. It was God's work. That's why I got a freaking award, which we'll get to. You get to that. But that's how. But again, to answer your question though, so the key thing is once I was rated. Remember, once you're VA rated by the VA and you have a service connection of over 30%,
Mhm.
now federal agencies can hire all those veterans faster because of your injury. That's the point.
Right. Okay.
That's the connection. You see.
Yes, sir. So you were recognized as Employee of the Quarter before being fired. How did you find out, and what went through your mind at the time?
Well, do you mind? Is there any way you can show the picture of the SF-50? By the way, remember that's the form that. By the way, I'm gonna get some Starbucks. By the way, I'm a little thirsty. Yes, that's a great picture. By the way,
Yeah.
but can you show the SF-50? There you go. Can you zoom in? Can you zoom it in or no?
This is probably about. It's
Okay, I
probably,
have an idea. Can you read some of it? Some of the notes.
let's see here. And for the record, ladies and gentlemen, this is his memorandum showing that he was due for a performance appraisal. So everything we saying is straight up facts. We got all of the details, all the receipts, and we bringing it to you. So what it says is employee Jesus Ruiz, Tony Jesus Ruiz, position title, series and number, veteran service representatives, has his numbers, department office. It has service in which he served, as location, Los Angeles. Date presented was 2/11/2024. Period covered by the performance plan. It has a signature on there. Now let me just give y'all the description. And if y'all can hear me clearly, hit ones because I'm looking at some stuff going on with my sound monitor. But it says the VSR will complete a minimal cumulative average number of weighed actions based upon work proceeded per pay period for all claims, contentions, actions taken, and type of product. Calculations of weighed output is based on 100% availability. Time spent to leave training categories according approved calculated times. Sorry about that, y'all. The text is pretty small, but it says fully successful.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to hear.
Successful. From 4 to 8 months, we got from 13 to 24, 25 plus. Exceptional is what it says. I'm looking.
Exceptional.
Yep.
Now show the picture of Josh Jacobs, please, if you don't mind, so I can tell the story now. All right, folks. So real quick. So in August of last year, 2024, during Biden's presidency, still, you're seeing in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing the former VA undersecretary. By the way, what's an undersecretary? He's a number 2 man in the VA. A number 2 man. He's powerful. He was in Los Angeles for a diversity, equity, and inclusion summit, and he also gave me the award, and they gave me a $1,000 cash bonus as the employee of the quarter. Now, can you believe that? All you folks have just seen a memorandum saying that I was fully legit successful, and there's a picture with me standing. By the way, you guys all can Google this. Google Josh Jacobs and Tony Ruiz. He is literally awarding me. He's saluting me, and that was all. By the way, this picture was also on Time Magazine, New York Post. This was on USA Today, everywhere. Tony Ruiz awarded Employee of the Quarter at the LA Federal Building for doing 141 claims in one day. Record-breaking. And by the way, and in February 2024, I was fired for what? Poor performance. Can you imagine that?
Wow. And look, we actually have that as well. And here's the termination letter.
Read that, baby.
Poor performance. And also, before I read that, I want to explain. I'm going to ask some questions about Mr. Josh Jacobs, and we're going to also read this. Now, Josh Jacobs was confirmed by the U.S. Senate on April 26, 2023, to serve under the Secretary for Benefits at the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, he's in charge of roughly $189 billion in direct benefits to veterans and their families.
Hell yeah.
So I want people to understand that this is a powerful guy. And I'm sure you're gonna bring some stuff out about him, because having a position like that, we're gonna get to it about his position and if he's been helpful to all these veterans that he's in charge of distributing their resources that they deserve. But anyway, we will get into this letter here, and it reads.
By the way, so I cut you off. Say his name, by the way. Say his name.
Josh Jacobs.
No. Emmett O'Mara, the firing letter.
Okay, got you.
Say his name.
All right, February 3rd, 2025, Emmett O'Mara, Executive Director, Los Angeles Regional.
Emmett O'Mara.
It says, Jesus Ruiz, Veteran Services Representative, Los Angeles Regional Office, termination during probation period. Now, I got a question about that because it looked like you were fully complete the probationary period based on the memorandum, or am I incorrect?
No. So fully no. So yeah, incorrect in the sense where no. So what they appraise you every 6 months. So you saw was my 6-month review, and it was at that 6-month review point I was fully successful. Now, very important, as you know, probationary period means the following: when they hire you to a federal agency, and unfortunately, I was hired February 10th of 2024. Do you understand that, right?
Yes, sir.
They fired me. What date? Right there.
Right.
What date? What date to see right there? What date?
Oh, what day they fired you was February 3rd, 2025.
They fired me 7 days. This is what's cruel, my friend. They fired me 7 days prior to my 1 year, just as a FU. Like, FU, Mr. Ruiz. Here, we're going to fire you just because you've been with us less than a year. And since Trump made it legal to get rid of all probationary employees because of Doge and Elon Musk, you know that. And keep reading, by the way. Say it.
Absolutely. It says, at the time of your career, conditional appointments on February 11th, 2024, as veteran service representatives, you were informed that your first year of employment would be subject to a probationary trial period. The probationary trial period is an important part of the hiring process. And during this time, supervisors are suited for, it says, okay, I'm sorry, it's some small letters here, pardon me, are required to study an employee's potential closely to determine whether if the employee's conduct, general character, traits or capability or capacity do not meet the requirements for satisfactory service. So it looks like a bunch of nonsense here.
BS. Yeah. And by the way, and you know, that's enough reading. And you know what's one of the cruelest things? It was all over the news during all the Doge cuts. A lot of veterans got these emails. And by the way, I'll tell you the story. You haven't asked me the question yet. I can explain to you the firing.
Oh yeah, we get
actually, let's get into it now. I still
Yes,
get
sir.
into it now. So I was at the federal building, my friend. Guess what happened? I get a calendar invite on my calendar. It says Emmett O'Mara, mind you, Emmett O'Mara, I'm calling you out. Emmett O'Mara, if you're watching, if anybody in the VA is watching, I'm calling you out right now. You got my number. Give me a call. Emmett O'Mara put a calendar invite on my calendar like within an hour with some lady who I have no idea who she was. But by the way, I'm going to tell you everything. And this is now, I'm about to get to the Katt Williams. I'm going to tell it all, baby. Here we go.
Let's
I'm about
go.
to pop. I'm about to go Katt Williams on y'all without that whiskey. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So
sir.
I emailed my boss and messaged him. Hey, what the hell is this calendar for? I don't know. He knew. So I took that. So next thing you know, some guy takes me to some room. Cameras ready to rock. They close the door, and the guy is in there watching. He's next to me over there. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Next thing you know, the camera appears. Boom. All right, Mr. Reese. The reason for this meeting is because this. By the way, you're about to get a letter given to you. So the guy gives me a letter, and the letter that you saw, I was given. Today's your last day at the VA. I was like, excuse me. I said, hold on a second. He goes, stop talking. Shut up. I said, excuse me? Emmett O'Mara told me to shut up. I said, excuse me? Shut up? And there was a lady and there was two people on. By the way, Emmett O'Mara didn't have the courage to even do this to my face. By the way, he was in the building. I just don't know where. But the name of that lady, I had no idea who she was. So the guy was looking at me with mean mug, looking at me. He goes, so today's your last day. You're about to be escorted out of the building. You're a disgrace to our nation. You're a disgrace to our country. You are no good to us. We're going to end all your benefits by the end of the month. After that, do you have any questions for me? I said, nah, I don't. I have nothing to say to you, man. Literally like that. And then he logged off. Next thing you know, this lady was speaking to me for about 5-10 minutes, asking me all these questions. And at this point, brother, I can tell you, I was so angry. My heart was beating, right? I can remember this.
Right.
Brother, if you ask me, what did she ask you? I can't even tell you. That's how angry I was, right?
Right. Understandable.
I was so angry. I can't tell you what she said to me.
So not
I
only
want to cry of anger, right? Next thing you know, the guy tells me, so ends. He says, all right, let's go get your stuff. And then there was 3 cops, 3 federal police officers, LA. By the way, do you remember the incident with Alex Padilla? Yes or no? Put ones in the chat if you remember Alex Padilla. Remember Alex Padilla, senator? Got pushed, shoved?
Okay. Yeah, the senator.
That happened in the same floor. That what a coincidence, brother. Now you see it? I got fired from the same building. They shoved Alex Padilla, and he's Mexican like me. Well, they walked me out. 4 officers gunned with machine guns off walked me out to my car and said, don't you come back here again. If you come back here, you're federal trespassing and get out of here. Leave.
Right. Now,
Brother, is that how you treat veterans?
not at all. Not at all. And not only did they fire you just moments before, you were locked in and sealed for the position, but they did it in such a heinous way. Like, now I want you to talk about why was it such animosity? What was
I'm about to tell you why. I'm about to cook. Believe me, I'm about to cook. Oh my God. So I was in my car and I have Bluetooth. So I called my union rep. And so obviously I have his cell phone number. He's my union rep. And he wasn't aware of nothing. He was pissed off. He goes, what the heck? I'm not going to say his name because I think he's a good guy. So I won't mention his name. Emmett O'Meara, I'm going to be calling you out. And then also I'm going to be calling out a congressman pretty shortly too. I'm about to discuss Congressman Van Orden pretty soon. His ass. But I spoke to the union. He was shocked, right? I get a call 4 hours later. Guess what he told me, my friend?
What's
Tony,
that?
Tony. Were you complaining about the DEI initiatives? Yes, I was. I was complaining about it. I was complaining about it the whole time.
Let's stop here for a second. So for the record, that's the reason for firing.
No, hear me out. Hear me out. And the lady, and he told me, the lady that was on the, because I asked him about the lady who was on the call with Emmett O'Meara, she was a Doge employee. They had a Doge employee on the call, and he said, Tony, I found out that Doge wanted me fired. That Doge told Emmett O'Meara, make it bloody. And she was smiling the whole time. Do you now understand? In other words, it got back to Doge that I was complaining. Tony Ruiz, the employee of the quarter, the star VA employee, the Mexican employee. It got back to DC. It got back to Elon Musk and Doge. Oh, hey, we got an employee over here who's by the way, you're going to show an image in about 10 minutes about a threat to Joe Biden. And by the way, folks, yes, I'm about to expose a death threat to Joe Biden. Woo, I'm about to cook some more. I'm going to cook like Katt Williams here. So keep in mind, Doge ordered them to fire me in that way. Most employees just got an email and they were just walked out. But because I complained about the DEI, now do me a favor, brother. Please show the image of the one we were talking about last night, please, of that African American gentleman. No, the African American gentleman and the memo, please. Please show that, please, and read that if you don't mind, sir.
We are taking steps to close the agency diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility DEIA offices and in all DEIA related contracts in accordance with President Trump's executive orders titled Ending Radical and Wasteful Government DEI Programs and prefacing an initial rescission of harmful executive orders and actions. These programs divided Americans by race, wasted taxpayers' dollars, and resulted in shameful discrimination. We are aware of efforts by some in government to disguise these programs by using coded or imprecise language. If you are aware of a change in contact description or personnel positions description since November 5th, 2024 to obscure the connection between contract and DEIA or similar ideologies, please report all facts and circumstances to, and then it has a government website. Wow, that is.
Let me cook. All right, now I'm pissed. So
Wow.
I'm about to get into this guy. This guy right here. He's this guy, and by the way, he's an African American who should be ashamed of himself. And by the way, just like the Latinos for Trump. By the way, if you're on this call and if you're Latino for Trump, I'm calling you out right now. Contact New Breed. I'll love to debate you and smash your ass. And by the way, if you're in Long Beach, let's meet. I'll talk to you face to face. With that being said, this guy right here is a coward. Anyways, so federal employees, I want you guys to understand one thing, okay? We when we hire, and again, it can be FEMA, FBI, CIA, Homeland Security. It can be any agency. I work for the VA. You take an oath. You understand? We are federal employees.
But
The oath.
and I hate to interrupt you, but quick question: is this guy African American? Is he
Yes,
from?
he is. Yes, he is. So Trump, and by the way, let me explain the context. All right, guys, when Trump won the election, this is imperative, guys. All the heads, in other words, Biden, right? Remember Biden's cabinet? When the election happened and Trump won, they fire all the heads. In other words, my old boss, remember Josh Jacobs? He was fired. They get rid of everybody. They put in this. In other words, every agency puts in a temporary, right? They're like a temp secretary
Right.
until the new VA secretary is established by the Senate. Do you understand? Because they have to go to confirmation hearings. Now, we all take the oath, right? Up until this point, and by the way, I'm military. I know about the veterans. I know about the federal employment. Federal employees are not political employees. I'll say that to you again. Federal employees are not political employees. And for the first time ever, this email right here shows you, thanks to Donald Trump, he is in essence asking us, me, to turn, by the way, and actually, I can tell you right now, they got a lot of emails from a bunch of, and by the way, I don't think that, I'm not, please, white people out watching this video, I'm not calling all of you out. All you white MAGAs, I'm calling you out. They got a bunch of emails turning people in that were Latino and African American. What a coincidence. It's called racism. This letter was calling for political isolation, political destruction, and the names that they literally said, tell us, so we can fire them. And and by the way, Trump fired all DEI employees, just like they fired me. And they did it mercifully. And so they went after the blacks, Latinos, not the whites. And by the way, and this is important too, hear me out. When Trump was elected, right, his very first day in office, remember that on TV, his fat ass was doing the whole signing, right? What was the very first thing he signed? Executive order, number 1. What did he sign? Say it. What did he do?
Probably the DEI.
No. The very first one was releasing all the J6ers. Can you imagine that, right? Of course, he's a felon. The president is a felon. So he released all the felons who attacked federal employees, by the way. Okay. Number 2, he did the DEI. And number 3, the federal employee Doge. Now, this is important. Now I want to hit. Now let's do an explosion, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. And listen, Tony, before you transition, I just want to make sure my audience knows exactly what's happening. This guy on the screen, right? So what you're saying is that he was hired temporarily after firing a whole lot of blacks and Latinos, pardon me, and he was basically used as a token, is what you're saying.
Thank you.
Okay, so I want to make sure everybody understands what you're coming at here. So this guy was hired. Is he still there though? That's my question.
Yeah, he's still there. He's again. And by the way, he's MAGA. He's a supporter of Trump. That's why. And by the way, and what a coincidence that they made an African American do this email, which by the way fired a bunch of Mexicans, African Americans, and they went after us. Now this is important.
Right, and I want to be clear about something. Sometimes some people can look African American, but they won't be actually foundational Black Americans. We like to, on this channel, we like to actually look at the lineage, because a lot of times we get flack from people who not even us. You know what I mean? This guy from the research, he's actually Indian. And I just want to put that out there, like, when it comes to, there's a lot of people who can look like us, similarities with facial features, but just for the record, he may not be one of us. All right. So I just wanted to put that out there, but they will definitely use certain people in certain faces to push their agenda. And that's what they do. In our community, we call them tethers, people who act like us and they're not us, but they'll do the bidding of, these people in the hierarchs, right? But I want to let you go on with that.
By the way, and by the way, sorry to cut you off. Wait till I get wait till I cook on the Latinos for Trump. Hey, Latinos for Trump, if you're on this call, I'm about to get on your ass. You're next. You're next on my target list. Latinos for Trump, I'm about to call you out. I'm about to go off on all y'all. But anyways, now do me a favor, brother. Now, we're going to show some breaking news, y'all. Now, did you know, brother, that a federal employee cannot make a threat against the president? Did you know that? Yes or no?
Absolutely. No, that's
now. Guess what? Can you please show the audience a picture of somebody, and I'll give the description. Just show the picture. And show the other one. By the way, the other one. Ladies and gentlemen, John W. Taylor. By the way, John Taylor, if you're watching this, go F yourself. Emmett O'Mara, go F yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, what you're seeing in front of you is I took this screenshot. By the way, the U.S. Congress, the OIG, which is the Office of Inspector General, Senator Blumenthal, and the Senate has all congressmen have this image. By the way, it's in Senate record. The Congress investigated this. By the way. Okay, I'm gonna read to you what he said. This is a death match that I'm looking for. And whose picture's there, by the way? Who's there?
Joe Biden.
Folks, I work for the VA. Whenever you do a death match claim, you know what a death match claim is? When one of our veterans pass away, it's called a death match. We have to, unfortunately, prepare the burial and cut their benefits. It's called, you know how we get checks till we die, right? So the death match claims is we get word that the veteran passed away. And then so we have to cut their benefits. More importantly, send the family the flag, the casket, get them ready for burial. All these things, right?
Right.
That's called the death match. John W. Taylor, guess who he is? He's African American, and by the way, he's African American. But he was very open. African American for Trump, and guess what he just did right there? He is a VA employee, and he's declaring what? He wanted Joe Biden dead. Can I say that to you again? A VA employee on this screenshot wanted Joe Biden, our president, dead. This is, in essence, a death threat. And guess who's still at the VA right now? Oh, by the way, at the VA Los Angeles as an employee. Guess who's still there? John W. Taylor. Right there. It's right there in front of you, my friend.
Right.
And he's still there. And you want to know why? Because he supports MAGA. That's why. Do you get it?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Do you get it?
Yeah, but I mean, they definitely have their cronies and have people that, are used. And I want to say this.
Sickening, man. Sickening.
It is. Absolutely. And regardless of your political beliefs, you can't go out here threatening the president. You know what I mean? Regardless whether you're on the left or right, that's against the law. Everybody knows that. Now, this John Jacobs guy, John Taylor is his name. My bad. This John Taylor guy, I'm interested in his background.
He's a comedian.
Yeah, I'm interested in his background because a lot of the times people claim to be foundational Black Americans and they're not. And when you go look up who their parents are, you'll find out they're not us at all. And if he is one of us, I can't defend the guy, but just based on look at him, he looks like one of those Kamala Harris type of people who claim to be Black or African American, because we get placed in these, a lot of people who are in marginalized groups, they kind of state claim to being us, but they're not really us, meaning they had no real building of this nation. A lot of times it'll be a foreign person who would be used, and they will pander to white supremacy, and it's just a dark face pandering to white supremacy, essentially. And we know that that's what MAGA is about, essentially, white supremacy. 100%. So, I'm gonna do my private research on this guy, but that's neither here nor there. We're not gonna get stuck on that because we're bringing out way too much pivotal information to get hung up on that. But man, you just dropped the bombshell here. The fact that he's still there, and the fact.
Sorry to cut you off. So, folks, let me make this context very clear. They fired a bunch of Blacks, African Americans, Asians, or anybody who was anti-Trump, and they did it mercifully. And they did it merciless, and they did
Right.
it under the premise of Doge and all these BS. And yet, right here in front of you. And by the way, this screenshot, I sent it to the OIG. I sent it to Congress. That's how people might be asking to themselves from the intro, how the hell did Tony Ruiz meet Nancy Pelosi?
That's a great question.
They sent me to DC because I like Katt Williams, like I exposed all this information and then some. And this picture made it to Congress. By the way, Senator Blumenthal showed this image in the Senate. They didn't put it on C-SPAN. You want to know why? Because the Republicans didn't want it shown on TV. Because guess what? Trump ordered it not being shown on TV. But everybody in Congress knows about that image. And guess what? This is what I'm telling you. Yet this man, John W. Taylor, is still working at the LA federal building, still working on veterans claims, and yet he threatened President Joe Biden. How does that work, my brother? How?
Well, all because he's aligned with MAGA, and MAGA is a cult. And y'all see what we do on this platform. We go in on them. We call them dirty MAGA because they resort to name calling, very shrewd, evil practices to just harm people if you're not with the cult. If you're not, even that letter, even that DEI letter is sick to me. I mean, report here if anybody's basically speaking out against what we're going to do unfairly and unjustly. That's what that letter is essentially saying. And then they use a brown face with this John Taylor guy, so it doesn't look like overt racism. That's what happened. All right. And it's just a sad thing. And that also brings me to more questions because you spoke out. And because you spoke out, you lost your job because of it. Because you looked out for Blacks, Latinos, perhaps Native Americans, Asian people, all diverse nations of people. They got rid of you. Now, and I gotta ask you, how, from what you've seen, how are the DEI cuts hitting Black, Latinos, veteran staffs the hardest? Like, did you see anybody else just lose their jobs, or was it all people of color?
The first round, when they let me go, they started off with the Latinos and the African Americans at the LA Federal Building. Not one white person was released at the LA Federal Building by Mr. Emmett O'Mara. Yeah. And by the way, remember, I left the building. I was no longer allowed to come there. I still have contacts. And of course, Congress was investigating. And they told me to my face, oh, yeah, they continued firing African Americans, Latinos, some white Americans as well. But 60% of the cuts were African American and Latino, period.
Right. Okay.
And by the way, so I cut you off. And by the way, that was both at the VA hospitals. Remember, this is important, brother. The VA, remember, there's two hubs. Remember, there's the VA. And by the way, to all the veterans on this call, we're gonna spend about 10 minutes today, where I'm gonna help all you guys out. I'm gonna discuss things like how to stop them from cutting your benefits. Veterans, put ones that you want to hear that. I'm gonna give all of you a number, by the way. You gotta get a pen ready for help.
Mm-hmm.
Where you want to stop when you want to create a hearing. I'm about to give you all some information, right? But the VA has two forks. The VHA, which are the hospitals, those are the ones where you report when you're sick, and then you have the VA, where I worked at. We are the ones at the federal building. All we do is claims. I'm the one that's meeting with veterans. I'm the one that's, you know what? I'm gonna tell you guys right now.
That'll be very helpful. Shameful.
This is shameful right now. I'm about to give you some shameful information, y'all. Check it out. Any veteran out there, hear me out. This is some breaking news, and I'm hot like Katt Williams right here. I'm about to expose. Everybody's gonna get it today. Everybody's getting it today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you ever get a letter from the VA telling you the following: so-and-so veteran, we decided to reduce your benefits, or we're gonna be reducing your benefits in the next 6 months, unless you can prove blah 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 blah. Please see the attached memorandums. Any questions? Please call us. Everybody, now hear me out. Write this down. I'm gonna say it, by the way, New Breed. If you don't mind, you can put it on the chat, I guess, if you can, or in the chat board. Here's the number, guys. I'm gonna explain to you everything. I'm about to hook everybody up. 1-800-827-1000. I say it again. 1-800-827-1000. Ladies and gentlemen, to all my brothers and sisters out there, if you're a veteran, hear me out. Whenever you get a letter telling you that means, and by the way, it's about to get worse, y'all. It's about to get worse. Latinos, African Americans, Asian veterans, they're coming after your benefits, y'all. If you ever get a letter, this is imperative. You call that number I just gave you, okay? They will pick up the phone, VA, how can we help you? And they're going to ask you, obviously, PII, to identify it. Last four, your social, address, email, all that stuff, to verify. Then they're going to ask you, how can we help you? Listen to me very clearly. Hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. I am calling to request a hearing. By the way, I got a letter today requesting to remove my benefits. I want to request a hearing. And by the way, make it very clear. I don't want a Zoom hearing because by the way, they'll offer you a Zoom hearing. In other words, like over Zoom. No, I want to go to the nearest federal building. Thanks. Okay, sir, have a good day. And guess what, New Breed? That, by law, that call is logged immediately and it goes into your file. And guess what just happened, my friend?
What's that?
You just paused the process. And the VA does not want you to know this. And I just told you this. Now,
look, ladies and gentlemen, hey, y'all getting some groundbreaking information.
Now, here's the bad news.
One moment, y'all get the likes up. Listen, I need y'all to get active in that comment section. This man is putting it on the line.
I'm cooking.
He's cooking. He's putting a number out there so you veterans out there can make sure that y'all are getting what y'all deserve, all right? And not getting no unfair treatment.
Now, when you call that number and you say that, and they'll say to you, okay, thanks, we'll get back to you. Now, the good news is this. There's a pause. Now, automatically, there's a pause. That letter that was sent to you is now paused. Guess how long it takes, because how incompetent the VA employees are now. It takes an average of 8 to 10 months to get a hearing. So for 8 to 10 months, your benefits are still coming. Well, you're not going to believe this, brother. When Donald Trump won the election, we got new guidelines given to us. It was around, I think, January 10th, I think. I don't know. We got some memos. Regarding hearings, and it said, please talk to supervisors for a training happening next week, live at your own federal buildings. We had a training at the LA federal building, by the way, and it was not recorded. It was not on Zoom, by the way. They had all 140 of us in a room, the claims guys and girls. All right, guys. There's 5 of you who are hearing coordinators. By the way, guess who was the hearing coordinator? Me. So I would know this. All you hearing coordinators especially. From now on, we have an order from DOJ and from the Office of the President. If you get any hearings, you are to obviously conduct the hearing professionally, be kind to them and everything, but you are to deny all claims. I'll say that again to you. You are to deny all their claims. And if they're get reduced, reduce their asses. Can you believe that? And by the way, and then my question is, how the hell do veterans get away by saying that they voted for Trump?
Right.
Knowing that I just told you that they're going after your benefits, and I just told you. So, but the key thing is, I just gave you guys a line though that you can call. By the way, and the good thing is, not only is it for this though, you can. By the way, I'm gonna give you one more thing that's important. Have you ever heard of dependency? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Dependency, very important. I'm gonna lay it out clearly. Married veterans. If you're a married veteran, put a 1 in the chat, okay? Just put it there. Let's say I'm married, bro, okay? Let's say I get divorced in California, right? And I go for you. And by the way, when you're married and you have VA benefits, you get additional. It's called dependency benefits. And in other words, you get like $200 a month for your spouse, $100 for each kid, right? That's called extra money. So let's say I get divorced, right? 5 years ago, right? And I forget to call the VA, mind you. I forget. And by the way, veterans are never trained on this. I'm telling you right now, we're cooking here. And then 5 years later, when you get remarried, you do a new claim for dependency with your new spouse. Guess what you get in the mail? Oh, Mr. So-and-so. So you never reported to us you got divorced 5 years ago. Now you owe us $25,000. Do you get that? They do it all the time, and they screw veterans, brother.
Right.
The VA will not help you, man.
Right.
You understand this? I'm exposing so much, man, that the VA does not care. And by the way, towards the end, you'll know what we're getting to the end when I discuss the main points. But this is getting to that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Tony, we're going to backtrack a little bit here. what exactly what was said? What they basically, what did they report to Doge? What did you say speaking up for a black,
So, so,
what was, yes, what was the complaint?
I emailed my superiors. I emailed the director, not director of merit, but the director of my team. Right, the best. It's called the best team. And
Mhm.
I emailed, you know me. And by the way, you can tell with my voice, I don't give two f's. I'm not afraid of nobody. By the way, you showed the video on Instagram last week of me telling President Trump, I'm not afraid of you. And I'll say it again, I'm not afraid of anybody in MAGA. And MAGA, if you're on this chat, contact New Breed. I'll debate your ass. I'll debate anybody from MAGA. Hey, if anybody out there wants to debate me, hey, you want that smoke? I'll take it. So I emailed a few people, and guess who I also emailed? The head of the AFGE union in DC. The AFGE union in DC alerted people in DC about my email. That got to Doge, and that's how Doge knew about me. And that's
Okay,
when they went after me.
so you sent the email out. Do you care to share some of the content of that email?
Yes,
All
yes. Uh, I don't remember the entire email, but it was to the
right,
point of I'm very confused here. As a proud VA employee and as a proud employee of the government, what weren't we taking an oath to serve our country? I believe these series of emails have been sent and all these DEI initiatives are political in nature. And I did not sign up to be a political employee of the Trump administration. So I would like to get clarification, and more importantly, I'll be turning nobody in for any kind of DEI. I will not be acknowledging any kind of responses to this DEI emails. And more importantly, I find it to be disturbing. So I would like to have a response to my email and to ask, how are you guys asking us to be political? When this changed? And so that email was sent to everybody, including the head of the AFGE, who is in DC, and he, I guess, emailed people in Congress, and that's how
right,
Pelosi and all of them know me. That's why they invited me to Congress. That's why they all knew about me, because the AFGE put me in touch with them, and
right.
thus that blew every. And then once they heard, wait a second, then they fired a guy. So the guy that wrote this email got fired, and they heard that Doge, the lady from Doge. By the way, she was smiling when Emmett O'Mara told me to shut up on that call. The
Mhm.
lady was smiling. I remember that. She was smiling, like she was enjoying it. And she was a Doge employee. So I think she just wanted to watch the show, to watch and relish the. We wanted you guys to fire him and make it bloody. Bloody.
Right. Understood. Now I got more questions here, and I just want to. I don't know how much more time you got. I believe you. If you have a little more time,
Yeah.
we're gonna dig a little bit here with these questions. So, because this is very interesting stuff and it's groundbreaking. Now, as a Mexican American living in LA, how do you feel about the deportations and the targeting of the Latino community? And I also want you to speak a little bit about why you believe Blacks and Latinos have been targeted uh, under the Trump administration. If you could just discuss that briefly, because, and I'm a segue a little bit. The reason I'm asking you that is because you took the initiative to send an email out of concern for these people. And you and I spoke behind the scenes about a few things, and I want you to really elaborate on that. Why Blacks and Latinos were targeted, and the DEI cuts were made in the first place. And I'm just gonna let you have the floor and just kind of express that.
Very simple. I have a master's in homeland security, and I've studied, by the way, world history. By the way, I was stationed in Germany, and I was literally thousands of miles from Moscow. I mean, it was funny. Our biggest enemy has always been Russia, and they still are our enemy. And you know how you keep people down? Very simple. Take away their education, take away their voice, take away their rights, take away their jobs and their livelihood. That's how you destroy a nation, right? It's been always known. And by the way, if you come to Los Angeles, yes, the great majority of people in Los Angeles are African American and Latino, much more than whites. Do you understand that? 50
Mhm.
years ago, the majority were whites. When you hear MAGA, by the way, Make America Great Again, it's a racist term. It's going back to the damn days of Jim Crow. So the whole point, the premise of this, of the ideology of their hate, is this is important, brother. if Latinos, and this is what bothers me, and I'm gonna tell you, as a Latino, I want all the African American brothers out there to hear me out. We're not your enemies. We're your friends. But they are afraid that if somehow we united, Latinos and African Americans, truly bonded and said, hey, we're not going to deal with this anymore. We're going to unite together and do our own businesses, do our own lives, and then fight back our way. If we
Right.
united, it would terrify them. And that's why they went after us this way, to divide us, to destroy us.
Now
That's the
that's
key thing.
now that's key what you just said. And I got to ask you this. What is stopping from Latinos and blacks from coming together? And I'm asking you this because um I realized that a lot of foundational Black Americans have put in a lot of work to make sure that there was a lot of opportunities granted for anybody coming over to the States based on the groundwork that was laid. And although you put in a concerted effort to speak up for the people, being an LA resident, we know there's a lot of racial tension between
Yes.
blacks and Mexicans. You being a resident there, what from your perspective, what's keeping this coming together from happening? I mean, on your end, based on what you see with the people there and
Well,
Mexicans in Los Angeles.
first of all, lack of communication. There's not enough communication happening between both sides. The unity is not there. You know what? And by the way, if you allow me to, let me speak for a second on Latinos for Trump. I want to cook on their asses, okay?
All
Please.
right.
And then I'm gonna answer your question.
Okay.
Okay, so you ever heard of self-hating Mexicans?
Yes,
Self-hating people?
I have heard of them. Yes.
Okay, I'm about to tell you something that's really embarrassing, okay? And this pisses me off. And by the way, I saw this in the army a lot of times. And by the way, I will call them to their face too. So hear me out, brother. I go to Mexico, and by the way, I'm going to get to your answer. Believe me, trust me when I get to this. When I go to Mexico, and by the way, anybody that's been to Mexico, you're probably gonna put a 1 in the chat in a second, saying he's right, brother. Have you been to Mexico? And have you turned the TV on? And have you seen Mexican commercials where you see cigarette commercials or liquor commercials? Who do you see on TV in Mexico? Brad Pitt, people who look American. Why is that, bro? And by the way, I've been to Mexico and I've asked my own fucking relatives that. Why are these people on Mexican TV don't look like anything like y'all? Because we want to be like Americans. Now hear me out. Latinos for Trump are a bunch of freaking morons. And they're the ones that, and I can't stand them, by the way. And by the way, I challenge any Latino for Trump out there who's in politics to come on here and debate me on another show. But hear me out. Let me tell you the reality. These idiots, right? They think because, and by the way, they can't even speak English. I met many of them with their MAGA hats. Oh, me no speak English. Motherfucker, you don't speak Spanish. You don't speak anything. But they think in their sick, twisted mind, well, if I act white and I speak white and I vote for Trump and I dance for Trump and I rally for Trump, guess what? They'll accept me. Motherfucker, I told them many times. My name is Ruiz. Look at your last effing name. Look at the nopal, by the way. It's a Mexican joke, nopal. Look at the nopal. In other words, the white people will never respect you. And these people, right, the Latinos for Trump, they voted against Kamala for racism. By the way, it's part of that too. By the way, not just racism. They didn't want to vote for a woman because in Mexico and Latino America, they hate voting for women because they think they're weak. But these Latino for Trumps, you're a bunch of pussies and cowards because you think since you voted for Trump that you're special. That now you're white, you are just as Mexican as, and guess what? And I laugh, by the way. Right. I laugh at the council. Hey, by the way, look at me. I laugh every single time I watch a story of a MAGA Latino for Trump being deported. Good for them. Yeah. I hope they get deported. I hope they never come back. Because I'm gonna say, I say to their face, you voted for that. You voted for that action.
It was definitely a rude awakening for a lot of Latinos for Trump. And I want to say this too, because of from speaking to a lot of brothers in Los Angeles, they claim that the same people who were Latinos for Trump were very evil spirited towards foundational Black Americans, and and that's something that was noticed. And have you ever seen that type of behavior being in Los Angeles? And if so, why? Why is that? Why do they seem to hate African Americans, or what we call
Well,
African Americans?
well,
Because that's the complaints that I hear coming from a lot of brothers who want to build that bridge. But every brother, I don't live in Los Angeles. That's why I'm asking you, because that's what I hear from a lot of brothers in Los Angeles. They like, there seems to be a lot of tension there. And let me just ask you this way. Do you believe it's because they believe they're better, because they actually believe they're white?
thank you. That's what I was getting at. No, and by the way, I'm gonna cook some more in Mexico.
Mhm.
Latinos for Trump, right? Again, and by the way, if you're in this channel today and you're like a politician who's MAGA and you're Latino for Trump, please contact New Breed. I will debate you. I want that smoke. I would smash you. But hear me out. Remember, I just told you a minute ago about the commercials in Mexico?
Yeah.
What did that tell you, brother? That tells you what? That even in Mexico, where most people are brown, by the way, look at me. I'm Mexican American, right? And look at my face. I'm not dark. People see me and think I'm Italian. Look at me. I'm a light skin, right? I'm a light skin Latino. But what's sad to me, brother, is in Mexico, who's gone to Tijuana? Who's gone to Laredo? The poverty in Mexico is incredible. And you know what's worse? You know the term indígena? Indígena stands for the Indians. And in Mexico, the darkest ones are they throw rocks at them. They spit in their faces. You see the little kids on the ground begging for food,
Wow.
throwing candy, and they're the darkest ones. Do you understand that, bro? It's
Right.
hate that's been brought up for centuries in Mexico and in Cuba and in all over Latin America. The lighter you are, the more precious you are. Again,
Right.
that's the whole dichotomy of the commercials. The commercials in Mexico are just a dichotomy of we like white, we love white, black or brown or indigenas. If you're Indian, if you're any kind of indigenous, to us you're dirt. Do you understand? It's
Right.
self-hate, brother. And so that's what I'm getting at. And again, my dream would be for Latinos and African Americans in LA to unite and say, you know what, we're gonna band together and fight back because that's what they want. They want us killing each other. They want us to kill each other. Well, it's not gonna happen. And I wish we can communicate more.
Absolutely. And I know that you have a time restraint, but we did discuss bringing in guests so they can ask questions as well. If you got, even if it's 20-30 minutes,
Yes.
where people could just fire away and ask the questions y'all like to ask. Y'all feel free to join.
But do you mind? Can I put one more point out? Do you mind?
Yes, absolutely. Speak your mind, man.
Okay, I want to give one more point before we start with the question and answer, guys.
Oh yeah.
I'm about to. And by the way, if I've been cooking, put some ones in the chat. If I've been cooking so far, by the way, hopefully everybody's proud of what I'm saying. But now I'm about to give you guys the biggest boom. The biggest breaking news for you that really pisses me off. Why is it since Vietnam? By the way, I wasn't around Vietnam, and I'm gonna tell you what, y'all. This is sickening. Veterans from the days of the Korean War, when they come back home, they were spit in their face. Baby killers, you're nothing. Brother, let me ask you a question. Let me just rhetorically. How many veterans are out there in Los Angeles, Texas, Georgia, homeless? By the way, who served their country, by the way, homeless, right? How many veterans, I just told you a minute ago about losing their benefits. How many veterans got fired by Doge? Let me ask you a question. Why does this government go after veterans and treat us like shit? I'm about to give you some breaking news, y'all, to the whole world.
Right. Oh yeah.
Here comes the breaking news, y'all.
Yes, we ready for that. And
Here it comes. Ronald Reagan, Bush, Clinton, Gore, all Pelosi, even this, everybody knows this. If shit popped off, if there was ever a civil war in this goddamn country, which by the way, I'm not calling for one, just in case anybody wants to report me in the FBI, which by the way, I don't fear nobody. But what I'm saying is, if a civil war popped off, New Breed, who would be the best people to lead that civil war? Tell me, who would that be?
Veterans, definitely.
That's the reason why we're on this call. That's the reason why they are treating us like garbage. And that's the reason why they've kept us down for years and years and years. And they treat us like dog shit. Do you get it now?
Absolutely.
So that I wanted to end that with that bang right there to show everybody the reality of this government. They fear us, just like they fear African Americans and the Latinos uniting. They fear the veterans because ultimately, if you, and by the way, you pissed me off. You pissed the wrong guy. And by the way, and my friend, you know what's funny? I cried the day that I tell you what, brother. I didn't get out of bed for 3 days after I got fired. My girlfriend had to literally carry me out of bed. I was depressed. I was crying, angry. I didn't get out of bed for 3 days, brother. Losing my career. Can you imagine that, right?
Right.
And that's how they treat our veterans, bro. And so what I'm saying to you is, it's part of a strategy of this government that they've always known, and that's why they treat us this way, brother. So now I definitely can welcome questions, and I'd be honored to talk to your audience.
Absolutely. And before we get into questions, and I know it's going to be, and I want to just go on this one more time, one more question about the blacks and Latino, uniting, because I just want to drive that in, and then we're going to definitely, there's already people in the queue, so we'll bring them in. Now you brought out some real pivotal things. And somebody asked this in the chat. And I think this question is very pivotal. Well, they say, why should FBAs unite with Mexicans if they hate themselves? Well, I want to reframe that question a little bit. The ones who hate themselves. How do we know the difference? Pretty much, brothers, like this brother Tony. So I'm going to go ahead and answer that question. I thought the question was framed a little bit differently, but what I want to ask is, how do we know? How do we know who we're dealing with? Because in our communities, we have a lot of people who pose like, I want to call them, they're like control opposition. They're these tethers that come into the communities. How can we tell the difference when dealing with people? And you living in Los Angeles, I know that you see a lot when it comes to Black and Latino interactions. But how do we move forward? Basically, is what I want to ask, and then we'll go into the question there.
Very simple, very simple. It's communication. So here's how you do it. So, for example, Latinos, right? If we walk, like me, I have a lot of friends who are of all kinds of. LA is a melting pot. I can go anywhere. Compton. I'm in Long Beach today, by the way, Long Beach, and I had my buddies yesterday. We had a fantasy football draft, and it was a good time. I'm trying to get at a point that where you communicate with people, right, and you're mixed around a lot of people who are different backgrounds, and you can get a certain tense of people, right, because they're there next to you, and you can read body language. Now, hear me out. When people, I don't care if you're African American or Latino, number one, refuse to go to a Latino area or vice versa. More importantly, now I'm Mexican, so I'm going to speak my own people. If you go up to a Latino, right, and by the way, Texas, I'm going to call you out especially. Texas, all you fools in Texas, you guys are all jacked up. Because I've been to Texas about 4 times. I see this in Texas a lot. People who look right into me. Hey, ¿cómo estás, amigo? ¿Todo bien? Excuse me? Bro, don't you speak Spanish? No, we're in Texas, brother. I speak English. Are you darker than me, fool? Oh, whatever, bro. And I walk away. I just answered your question. When you encounter somebody who looks darker than me, or is a Latino, who's a blatant Latino, and they refuse to speak Spanish to you, it tells you what, brother? What are they? A self-hating Latino, and most likely, guess who they voted for? Most likely, guess who? Donald Trump. And who does Texas always vote for? A Republican. There's a lot. And by the way, and let me tell you something. This is important. I'm calling out Texas for a reason. See, I'm driving the point again, New Breed. I want to drive it home before the questions start. I want to drive this point home. These morons, and by the way, I'm going to say it one more time. If you're a political person out there, influential political party, MAGA, Latino for Trump, who's got some power, contact New Breed. I'll debate your ass tomorrow. I'll debate your ass I'll cook with your ass whenever you want to. But in Texas especially, these Latinos for Trump, in their sick minds, think, well, my last name is Rocha, Robles, Rodriguez. I look Mexican. My parents look Mexican. I'm short. I'm pudgy. I'm not white. But as long as I can speak the white color and speak it great and have a MAGA hat, they're going to love me. Whoa.
Right.
And guess what?
It's pretty much the Spaniard mindset, because, the Spaniards actually, enslaved, Yes, what we call Mexicans and Latino people today. And that just like we have people who are in our nation of people who they've lost themselves. There's self-hatred that goes in every nationality. And
Yes.
some of these people are used to really cause a hindrance. And that's why we really gotta spot out these people. And that's kind of why when you were bringing up John Taylor, I was like, we like to be sure. Like, hold on now, this guy, is he really one of us? Because
He's not one of yours. Oh, believe me, he's not.
yeah,
He hates all Democrats.
right. Because we be cut from different cloths, and we call them coons or Uncle Ruckuses with our people. You're calling them straight up people who just hate. It's colorism, and they're still under a captivity mindset. They believe in white supremacy, and there's people who look like me that believe in white supremacy. So no, that's very real facts brought to the table.
And by the way, one last thing too before the questions start. And by the way, we still have like 30 minutes left before I have to check out of my hotel. But listen up, I do want to make one more point. During George Floyd, by the way, George Floyd, rest in peace. I'm gonna tell you one thing, brother. Here in Los Angeles, I was very proud of my gente, my people. George Floyd, there was a lot of protests in LA. You can ask any African American, and they'll tell you, oh, the Latinos were out with us. There was Latinos out there with you, bro. So one thing I do have hope for is that the new generation, people like me, right? There are people out there like me. You have advocates. For God's sakes, brother, I lost my career for fighting for everybody. I lost my career for speaking out for the African Americans, for the Latinos. Right. I lost everything for that. But what I'm saying is, we need people like that to have that heroism. But during George Floyd, Latinos came out and fought with you guys, and we were advocates. And that's why, remember Trump? He wanted us to shoot at these guys, remember? Now, what I'm saying to you, I think the whole Kamala Harris thing pissed off a lot of African Americans. By the way, I'm mad too. I'm mad at Latinos for Trump because I think a lot of African Americans are saying, well, y'all voted for Trump, and he said he's going to deport y'all. So guess what? We're not going to get involved. And so I think we should so my advice to African Americans is let's get past all this, y'all, and let's unite. I'm calling it right now, brothers. Let's be brothers. Because I tell you what, if we can unite as a community, both black and brown, like Tupac said it, and to live and die in LA, it wouldn't be LA without Mexicans. Tupac loved Mexicans. Nipsey Hussle, by the way, Nipsey Hussle, I'd never met the man, but I heard from many people, he loved Latinos. He loved Latino culture, because he loved it. And so we need to get back to our roots, y'all. And we cannot allow them to divide us. Because once we're divided, we're screwed, man. So now, all yours, my friend.
No, absolutely. And what you just said is very pivotal there, man. And, I just want to, because we really being proactive with this uniting situation. So, but standing from where I'm at and just speaking with my people, a lot of people are like, look, I know that you brought up that there were marches for George Floyd. I don't recall that taking place where, Latinos have joined.
In LA they did.
Oh, in LA they did. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
See, that's brand new to me. That's beautiful.
Yes.
That's togetherness.
Huge.
And I like to see that. That's dope. But just communicating, being someone in my community who, and I'm in agreement with you. I'm just having this conversation with you. Now, people say that, why unite when nobody's really here for us? That's the whole talking point that I hear a whole lot of. And on top of that, we've been here in this country building, and it seems to be a lack of respect for the foundation. And I know that's not the situation with you, but is it a message you can put out to these self-hating Mexicans? Because I know if people are going to watch this from the diaspora, and they're going to really be communicating about this this is a very strong talking piece, conversation piece that's going to rattle through the community. So is there anything you can say to those self-hating people who came over here in a country where our people was placed in captivity, served 400 years right next to the white man, building up his infrastructure, only to have certain people come over and not really appreciate it? And it's not just Mexicans, it's Asians, you know, you have all these marginalized groups who end up getting awarded off of our plight. And Mexicans aren't one of them, by the way. Mexicans, they don't come over here and get what the Ukrainians get. They don't come over here and get with what Russians get or the white Afrikaners get. So we already know that they're not treated right either. But what message could you give them to kind of bridge that gap of showing some appreciation for those who actually were here in the country, and how could we bridge that?
First of all, people need to get back to raising their kids right. In other words, one of the things that I do see as a Latino in the community here with Latinos, especially in LA, and by the way, especially in Texas, I like calling out Texas. I have a lot of smoke for Texas. Believe me, Texas, I hate y'all. I can't stand your state. And if I ever go to your state, I'll cook all of y'all. But unfortunately, here's the problem. Remember, and I already discussed the whole Mexican TV commercials and all that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're seeing now a trend. It's been happening for about 10 years now, where Latino families are, even in California now, unfortunately, are not teaching Spanish to their kids. They're not teaching about Cesar Chavez, about Martin Luther King, about Jim Crow. They're not teaching about racism. And so if you can't teach about multiculturalism, if you can't teach your sons and daughters, no, you're going to learn to speak Spanish. You're going to learn to speak English. You're going to learn about your history, your culture, and tu cultura, so you can be proud of it. Like I am, by the way.
Right.
Like my father. Remember my father? I bring back my father. He came to this country with nothing. And he had one dream. For what? For my son to do well. That was his dream. That's love, bro. That's love. And so we need to get back to that. And by the way, African American, same thing. Your parents wanted the same thing for y'all. So we need to get back to the roots, back to the point where we raise our kids right. Like Tupac said it himself in the song Changes. We got to change the way we think. We got to change the way we communicate, man. And so, and by the way, one last thing I want to point out that I want to tell you that really bugs me too. One last thing briefly. You know what really pisses me off too? ICE. These bastards, right? They came to LA first, and you know why? Because racism is hate.
Right.
And by the way, they've beaten up grandmas, they've beaten up gardeners, they've beaten up senior citizens, beaten them up. And you know what bothers me the most, brother?
What's that?
I'm getting so angry right now. You can probably see it. Is when I see half of those MFers are Mexicans, and they tell, and there's videos of it. Them telling him, people like me, you're freaking Mexican and you do this to your own people. Your grandma raised you, and you're deporting people like yourself. Sorry, I'm just taking orders. How dare them, bro? And that leads again back to the point. Those same MFers are the same people who are Latinos for Trump. So again, to answer your question, it's gonna be, and will it be easy? No, man, it's not gonna be easy. But there's people like me. I hope people that watch this stream today see me as, I'm no hero, by the way. I'm no effing hero. I'm just somebody that's got courage. And I'm gonna tell you what, brother. I'll tell you the truth. I want to cry of just being emotional right now, but I'll be honest with you. I'd rather be homeless in the streets, dude. I'd rather be homeless. I'd rather lose everything. I'd be homeless in the streets than to destroy my community and destroy my people and turn my back on my own people. I'd rather be homeless. Or, by the way, serve in the Trump administration. And that's why I spoke up. And guess what it cost me? My livelihood. I lost my home in LA, which we'll get to in a second, but I lost everything. And you know what's funny? My own family and friends were like, bro, why didn't you shut the fuck up? Why didn't you just be quiet? 7 more days. I'm not going to do that. I'm not built that way. That's the difference between you and I. And that's why Pelosi had me. And that's what for me, brother, I can die tomorrow and say, I was standing next to the first woman, Nancy Pelosi, she's one of the most powerful women in the world, by the way. She was the first Speaker of the House that was a female in our history. And I stood next to her. Why? Because I spoke out, brother. So keep that in mind.
Right. And man, and and I want people to be able to support you in your endeavors, and as well as for the work you've done. Because this man lost his job for speaking out. And of course I will allow you to plug that in. But I got we don't have too much more time, so I'm gonna bring one guest that's in the queue. So I'm gonna bring this guest in so we can ask you some questions, and then we'll get to it. Great Static, what's going on, brother? Another veteran.
Oh man, peace, gents. I'm in the middle of doing laundry, so I'm gonna just make it quick. First off, it was a great stream, as always. Tony, thank you for everything. You know what I'm saying? I could definitely relate to your story just for the simple fact that I'm sure you were on the last stream. I pretty much lost my career too for the same thing, for speaking out. So I know exactly what you're going through. I really wanted to talk to you because I wanted to know if you received my DM I sent you on Instagram. I'm in the process of working on my claim,
Hey, Dre.
and they keep denying me. Yep.
Dre, I hate to disturb you, but it's a lot coming through the mic right now.
No, but hey, you know what?
Okay.
A rattling sound. It's tough to hear.
New breed, real
Can you
quick.
hear me
Hey,
now? That was a motorcycle.
No, I
no,
don't
real
hear
quick.
it.
Hey,
It's
New
not
breed, real quick. Can I talk to him?
yeah,
So
yeah,
first of
you got
all, I got your DM. What I'm gonna do for you is, and by the way, if you notice, I'm in Long Beach. I've been traveling for the whole week. What I'm gonna do for
Right.
you, brother, is I'm gonna put you in touch with a VSO. By the way, that's the Veteran Service Officer to help you.
Hmm.
She is the one that, by the way, she's the one that took care of me to fight for my claim. I'm gonna put you in touch with her to help you, brother. So I got your back. So I'm gonna help you. I'll be DMing you
Thank
by
you.
the end of the day with the info. It's just that I wanted to get her information first and get the okay before giving it to you. So I'll be in touch with you, brother. I got you.
All right. Thank you. Yeah,
Much
because
love, bro. Much love.
thank you, brother.
I
Yeah,
think it's
thank
the
God.
headpiece, Dre. I think it's the
Yeah.
headpiece. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
all
a
good.
lot of static.
It's all good though.
Yep. But it's all good. If you got more questions, then you could go ahead and ask it.
Okay. Yeah. Just one. Nah, baby, I gotta take these off. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, can y'all hear me now?
Much
Man,
better.
perfect, bro. That's better.
Okay, this go. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. They gave me a diagnosis. They gave me multiple diagnoses. They diagnosed me with PTSD, with alcohol use disorder, anxiety, bipolar. So now they're saying we don't have any proof that this is linked to the service. But the thing that's crazy is, you have to go through MEPS to even get in the military, and they screen you for all of that before you even go in. So now I just been fighting. I got a lawyer that I'm dealing with, but I know that with him, he's gonna prolong the process for as long as possible. You know.
No, okay. I
So.
have good news for you. Here, sorry, by the way, sorry to cut you out. I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help you. Listen to me.
Hmm.
Okay, you need to go to a psychiatrist. Okay, and by the way, listen to me. Don't go to a VA site. Go to a psychiatrist. Pay some money. By the way, so it costs you $200 is what it is. Listen to me.
Okay.
My VSO sent me to somebody. Right. You're gonna need the following. A psychiatrist has to write you a letter saying, by the way, this patient is suffering from PTSD. By the way,
Right.
PTSD, by the way, as you know, when you're a
Hmm.
young man, 18 years old in the military, remember, I was in the military at 18. You feel
Right.
unbeatable. You feel in shape. Nothing can beat you, right? Now, PTSD manifests 10, 20, 30 years ago. You need a letter that states the following. This
Mhm.
patient is not sleeping. This patient has depression or agoraphobia. By the way, you need that there. Agoraphobia by the way, this is a VA term. That means that you
Right.
don't leave your house. You need a psychiatrist to add
Hmm.
that letter to your file. Then your lawyer will include that into the VA claim. So the rater and the claims team will see that language,
Hmm.
the PTSD is not like a switch. Oh, it happens. Like in other words, I was in an accident in the army, and I got
Hmm.
PTSD the next day. No, it manifests over years and years, and it can come back in 20 years. And so what you're
Right.
going to argue is that it came to you in a later stage, which is now. You can't sleep, panic attacks, whatever it is, issues, and please don't discuss them here, of course. But what I'm
Hmm.
telling you is, you have to have somebody that's a doctor. Right, and by the way, they have to be a doctor, and that they diagnose you. The diagnosis is PTSD, agoraphobia, severe manic depression, all this, and please have that sent on your file, and your VSO will do that for you, and the VA, and that's exactly what happened to me. And within eight
Right.
months, guess what? I went from 0 to 80%, my friend.
Nice.
like that.
Nice.
Do you
Okay, so
understand,
I'm gonna,
brother? Do you
yeah,
understand?
thank
That's
you,
how you do it, man. That's how.
thank you. And I also wanted to speak on the Blacks and Latinos uniting thing, man, because I live in New York. You know, I spend a lot of time in Jersey too. Um, Over here on the East Coast, we all group together. You know what I mean? So it's really hard to be not together. You get what I'm saying? Like your neighbor is most likely Puerto Rican, your other neighbor could be Mexican. You know, your other neighbor could be Cuban. It is, you know, like, and if you know anything about the 12 tribes, you know, they group us all together over here anyway. So we all kind of like the same. You know what I mean? I don't know how it is on the West Coast. I only lived on the West Coast for a little bit. I was stationed in 29 Palms, but I never got to really travel outside of the base much, you know.
That's
So,
real.
but
It is a
you
lot.
know,
It's a lot different on the West Coast,
A
man.
lot
So
different.
a lot of
yeah,
tension over there, but a lot of it is gangs too. You know,
that's true too. Yeah,
yep.
yeah,
But East Coast, like my experience with the Latin community has always been good. That's just
right,
my personal experience. I've
mhm,
I lived in San Antonio, and it was black and brown love there. I mean, if
right,
there were always parades, there were always just neighborhood parties, but everybody's experience is different. But I've been just talking to a lot of people on the West Coast, and I believe that this type of conversation can perhaps open up a conversation on that side, because I got viewers from the
mhm,
West Coast too, and I'm hoping that that can change, because that would be groundbreaking, because we fellow tribesmen, and although
right,
we may be divided by certain cultures, but it should be certain things that we should be able to come together for sure.
right.
Without the nonsense. But yep, I'll go ahead and let y'all have the floor. I know Tony has a little more time left.
No, and again, so brother, so I just gave you some gold, and again, I
Hmm.
am traveling, brother. Like as he knows, I'm over here in a
Mhm.
hotel. I'm checking out pretty soon, but when I check out, and I'm gonna be driving pretty far later on today to a private location, but I'll DM you by tomorrow with the information on the VSO. But in the
Okay.
meantime, please, I'm begging you, get with it's gotta be a psychiatrist. Get with
Hmm.
them. Please don't discuss in the stream what you're going through. But I'm telling you what I
Right.
went through. I have no shame.
Hmm.
Insomnia. I couldn't sleep. Agoraphobia. That means you don't leave your house.
Right.
Gain weight, lose weight, lack of function, lack of love of life, losing
Hmm.
enjoyment. All those things have been put there on paper. And then this is imperative for the VA. Listen to me. I'm telling you, I'm a former VA employee.
Right.
It must read diagnosis. This patient has PTSD from the military service, which happened
Right.
post service. That's it. And when they
Right.
had that language on paper, that's going to help you tremendously, brother. I guarantee it. Okay?
Thank you, man. Because like I said, they already diagnosed me, you know, but they're trying to say it happened from something else, and I'm like, I
No,
went in perfectly fine, you
no.
know. So you know,
No, do
I'm
what I
in the
just told you, bro.
process
And then
of.
also, get my BSO was one to help me. I'm going to help you out, brother. I'll be DMing you. I got you.
All right, brother. Thank you. Hey, y'all take it easy. Appreciate you, Breed.
For sure,
Appreciate
brother.
you, Tony. Y'all be good.
Yes, sir. Peace. Oh, got him. Man, thank you, Tony, because you really deserve some support for what you've done. You've hold on, are you frozen there? I think he's frozen. What happened? All right. I think he froze here. I'm gonna give him a moment to kick back in, but I want to say this. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna support the brother. His GoFundMe is in the description box. And this man lost his job for speaking out for our people. Hopefully, he can join back so he can give his closing statements. But, feel free to go support that brother. We got to show some unity uh, by really supporting our own interest. You see a lot of these white supremacists that come together and they support each other in the name of white supremacy. Like the Shiloh Hendricks lady. She puts up a GoFundMe, gets supported for spewing all kind of hate speech and things of that nature. So,
I'm
brother, you
back,
there?
guys. I'm back.
All right, excellent, excellent. So, man, Tony, we want to thank you, and we want you to definitely, tell the people where they can reach you because you're going to have a lot of veterans that's going to want to reach out. Um, I didn't already drop the GoFundMe link. It's in the description box. People, feel free to really support this man. He deserves our support. He lost his job, lost his Los Angeles home. Why? Because he sent that email out and said, "Look, I'm not liking this," and it was reported to Doge. It cost him his job, and right now he's currently in a lawsuit. Correct?
So here's
If
how it
you-
works. Sorry to cut you off. This is important. And by the way, the reason why it cut off, I'm over here in Long Beach and it's 98 degrees and my
Mhm.
phone overheated. But hear me
Oh,
out, guys. This is important, real quick. So as an employee, when I was fired, I did have one. It's called the MSPB, the Marriage Service Protection Board. Long story short, you can appeal a termination. Well, guess what? All the MSPB judges are all Trumpers. So
mm,
within 6 months of doing that, I lost that case. So I created a GoFundMe because what I'm looking for a lawyer. By the way, I found one, but he charges $500 an hour. But I'm going to charge them in civil court in California, where in California I can actually win. And he told me, look, you probably won't get your job back, but you get back pay, and that you get all the money you recovered back that you lost, and you get your home back hopefully. So if you guys can support me and bless me with that, that'd be great. Even a dollar or two, uh, that'd be great too. My family and I would appreciate it, but the blessings and the prayers matter too. So thank you.
absolutely. And I'm gonna do a vertical stream where it's gonna get more traction, and I'm gonna also shout out your GoFundMe, and see if people can help out and support. And this is what it's about. He's helping the veterans. He's helping our people. He has an open line of communication. So if you need help in a direction to go to get those benefits, then he's willing to help us. So I believe we should help him too. And that's what unity looks like. All right. So, man, Tony, thank you, man. If you have any closing remarks, if you just
Yes,
want to drop a message to the people, I'll let you
yes.
do that.
So once again, I want to thank you, New Breed, for the opportunity. I want to thank you for allowing me to have this voice. Uh, CNN, Fox, they had me on there, but you know what's funny? CNN asked me some questions that they didn't want to cross a certain line. You know why? Because they answer to their shareholders and they don't want to piss off Trump. And I want to thank you a lot for allowing me to have a voice here to speak the truth to power,
Absolutely.
because we all have to hear the truth. And and one last thing too, I'm calling for this. I'm calling for brotherhood. And if this video stream makes it so that we unite, I can die a happy man, you know. And I really am. This is an open call to everybody to open their hearts out. African Americans, Latinos. I want us to get brothers again and to be strong because that's what they fear. And with that, though, I want to thank everybody that donates for me to my GoFundMe. I appreciate anybody, and more importantly, you can also add me on YouTube. Uh, I don't make much contact. I'm not as good as New Breed, believe me, but I do contact here and there. But if you want to support me, whether it's through the GoFundMe or whatever, contact me as well. And one last thing too, you can DM me via Instagram, and I'm sure Newbie will share my Instagram as well. Okay, but God bless all of you and everybody in your audience for caring for me. And again, I took a shot and I was brave, and it cost me my career. But if you ask me right now, do I regret it? Hell no. I would do it again in a heartbeat. That's just me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony, man. Feel free to join us anytime, and I'll be chopping it up with you behind the scenes. Salute to you, and thank you for your service, and thank you for helping the people out.
God bless everybody out there.
All right. Bless you, sir. All right. All right. All right. Man, that was a very powerful broadcast. We got a lot of information that will be beneficial. The way that interview came about was Tony was just in the background watching. I was probably going in on Dirty MAGA, And he just happened to see the broadcast and was like, hey, you know, I'm so and so. I went and looked him up, and I said, you know, it'd be great to actually interview him and see, you know, how we can benefit each other. Yep. And that's right. Real 80 says something very true. This is a dagger to those that claim you hate people who are not FBA. Exactly. Because it's not about hate. It's about having these conversations that address the real issues. And at the end of the day, white supremacy is the problem. Even Tony spoke about the fact that a lot of people who are anti-black Latinos, they're anti-black in their country too, in Mexico. So it's more of a colorism thing. And it's all because they've been programmed under white supremacy as well. So you have those who are not indoctrinated with those lies. It's people out there who are not indoctrinated with that hatred, who are willing to speak up, even if their skin color is light or dark. So, you know, even in the scriptures, it talks about not judging someone by the outward appearance, because, you know, we must judge people by their fruits, by the fruits. And that way you can know who you're dealing with. And, you know, that interaction was very healthy for the community. That should shake up the truth intelligence community to the core, because this is what we need. And the fact that they're doing our veterans so dirty, the fact that we have to go above and beyond just to make sure they get the benefits that they deserve. This man was treated poorly. He was fired for speaking out. And, you know, support the brother. And, you know, also I will be doing a vertical stream in the near future, because it seems like that this platform only wants to send out notifications for the vertical stream at the moment. I'm pretty sure that they will shake back in due time. Hopefully they will shake back in due time, because I've been a pillar in this community for quite some time. But you know how it goes. But I want to react to some of the things that were talked about. Perhaps I'll create some shorts, and I don't want to let that go. I don't want to let this conversation go, because right now we're in a time, right, as we speak, where military is being used to engage U.S. citizens. And if we're not careful, if we keep allowing the divide and conquer to continue, if we keep allowing that, hold on, that's Tony. Hit me up now. Let me let him know I'm still live, brother. I'm still live. But matter of fact, maybe I should answer him. Maybe it's something else he want to add in. But if we're not careful, y'all, we're gonna lose this country to dictatorship. Tony, I am still live. Is it something you wanted to say? Oh, he cut it off. All right, so I'm gonna hit him up in a minute. But Trump don't plan on leaving that office unless his health takes him out, because we know that he's been missing for quite some time. And the internet is going crazy about that. But if it's up to Trump, he will divide and conquer us. And what he will do is stay in that office. Y'all think he's joking about, those Trump 2028s. No, they're trying to get a dictatorship going. They want this thing to be like Hunger Games out here. They looking to make America like the Hunger Games. So, at some point, these type of conversations are absolutely needed. Somebody said he's trying to get as much done in a short time he has been president. Right. Yep. Somebody said where are the reparations for coroner created and U.S. lab? Where are the reparations for coroner created? I'm not sure what that is, but we do deserve our reparations, that's for sure. But I'm not sure what coroner lab is. I got to do my research on that. But It's been a blessed stream. I want y'all to take care. Have a good day. I want y'all to like, comment, and subscribe. The likes is way over the views, which is interesting. So spread the word, share me everywhere, y'all. Share this everywhere. Thank y'all. Y'all have a good one. Peace.